So I want you to just imagine something with me. Picture a room. It's quieter than you'd expect. The light inside is more blue than yellow. And the air, well, the air feels like that gentle inhale you take right before you say your first prayer of the morning. This is what the journal calls the attunement room, a space where we can learn to tune into God, to ourselves, and to the moment we're actually in. In here, everything just happens a little slower, a little deeper. And as we step inside, we see Jesus. He's kneeling next to this long wooden harp, and its strings look like they're literally made of pure light. He reaches out, and he plucks one. But the sound? It's just off. It's discordant, it's unsettled, and honestly, it's a little painful to hear. And then he explains what that sound is. He says, that's the sound of our ear world when it's totally out of sync. It's what happens when our spirit, our mind, and our body are all playing a different note. The strings are real, he says, but they are just not tuned together. Then he plucks another string. And this time, the note is pure. It's warm and whole. And this, he says, is attunement. And that simple act with the harp, it really sets up this whole journey for us. At its very heart, attunement is just the practice of bringing our inner world, our spirit, our mind, and our body back into harmony so that they can all resonate with that one true note. It's about learning the difference between that jarring sound of internal conflict and the clear, resonant sound of peace. You can really see the two states we're talking about here. That out-of-tune note, that represents our internal discord, right? It's when our spirit, mind, and body are all pulling in different directions. But that pure note, well, that's the goal. That's the sound of being aligned and whole and completely present. It is the sound of attunement. To really get a handle on this, the journal takes us to our first story, which is just a perfect biblical picture of this internal misalignment, the story of young Samuel learning to hear the voice of God in the old tabernacle. Okay, so look at what's happening inside him. His spirit picks up on something holy, something sacred. But his mind, using what it knows, just interprets the sound as his mentor, Eli. And his body? His body reacts with a jolt of adrenaline because, let's be real, for a kid, the unknown often feels like danger. So his biology reacted, his history interpreted, and his spirit perceived. Nothing was aligned. And this right here is the crucial part. God doesn't just speak once and then give up. He calls again and again. This quote just reveals the incredible patience in this whole process. It's not about us getting it right the first time. It's a training, a gentle alignment until all the parts of us can finally hear with clarity. Just like Samuel eventually did when he said, "Speak, Lord, for your servant hears." So what does this tell us? It tells us that attunement isn't some instant download. It's a process. It's something that is trained over time. It's relational, built in connection with God. It has to be learned, not just known intellectually. And it's something that is practiced over and over again until our inner world finally starts to recognize that true, clear frequency. Now, let's see how this builds into a really practical tool. We're given this inner map, which is inspired by the work of psychiatrist Dr. Dan Siegel, to help us navigate our own souls. It's called the River of Attunement. Most of us spend our lives on the banks of this river. On one side, you've got the rigidity bank. That's the place of overthinking, that panicked need for control, where we're constantly misreading signals as danger. And on the other side, that's the chaos bank, total overwhelm, emotional spiraling, impulsive reactions. Does any of that sound familiar? This is exactly where we want to be. Not stuck on the banks, but right in the attuned middle of the river. This is that state of flow where we're actually listening, we're sensing what's really happening, we're receiving truth, and we're aligning all the parts of ourselves. And here's why this matters so much. This map helps us notice when we're drifting, so we can gently guide ourselves back to the center, instead of getting stuck in anxiety or overwhelm. And right here, we find one of the most profound insights from this entire journey. In this dialogue, the question is asked, what signals should we actually be listening for? And the answer? It's kind of revolutionary. We're told to listen for the one that sounds like peace, even before we feel peaceful. Why? Because peace isn't just an emotion we're hoping to feel one day. It's a tone, it's a frequency we can actually learn to tune into. All right, so for our second biblical lens, we meet the prophet Elijah. Now, if Samuel was a picture of confusion, Elijah is a perfect picture of what it looks like to be completely overwhelmed, completely spiritually dysregulated. I mean, just look at this breakdown. Physically, he's fleeing and collapsing. Mentally, he's trapped in these thoughts of failure, saying, I am no better. Emotionally, he's just drowning in panic and despair. And his spirit, while it's still alive in there, is basically buried under a flood of stress hormones. Every single part of him is tangled up and in defense mode.
So what does God do? Does he send a storm? An earthquake? No, he sends a thin whisper. But why? Because a whisper changes everything. You see, you can't brace for a whisper. You have to lean in. It completely bypasses our fight or flight response. When we're flooded with fear, any loud noise just confirms the danger. But a whisper forces our system to quiet down, to strain to hear, to shift from reacting to receiving. It's like a gentle reset button for the soul.
And now the journey turns inward. All these stories and concepts we've explored, they become questions for our own lives. This is where we get invited to just pause and to listen to our own inner world for a moment. So what's the point of all this? Why does practicing this matter? Well, attunement teaches us how to gently untangle all those inner signals. It's how we relearn the sound of God's voice, not in the fireworks, but in the whispers. It's how we learn to stop reacting from the banks of chaos and rigidity and start responding from that calm, clear river. And ultimately, it's the doorway to joy. So let's just sit with this first question for a second. What is your body trying to tell you right now? The journal gives this great example. We often mistake the feeling of anxiety for urgency, or we mistake adrenaline for the Holy Spirit. What might you be mislabeling in your own life?
Here's a really simple, practical check-in. Just for today, right now, which part of you needs the most gentle attention? Is it your tired body, your racing thoughts, or your quiet spirit? You don't have to fix everything all at once. Just pick one.
And finally, this powerful question, which brings us right back to Elijah. In a world that is so full of shouting, from other people, from ourselves, what would change if we chose to listen to the quiet signal underneath it all? What might we begin to hear if we valued the whisper just as much as we value the roar? As we start to wrap this up, just let this beautiful truth settle over you. The journey of attunement isn't about striving or trying harder. This quote is a powerful reminder that the problem isn't us. We are not too complicated. We're not too broken. We just needed a patient teacher, one who doesn't rush the soul. And the invitation couldn't be simpler. It's not a list of tasks. It's not a program. It's a gentle call into relationship. Breathe with me, listen with me, walk with me. This is a journey that we're invited into moment by moment. And that really brings us to our final thought. The attunement room, it isn't just a place in a story. It's a posture we can carry with us. So the question that we're left with is this. As you go about your day to day, where can you get quiet enough to hear the whisper? Where is it already speaking?